The unknown signal. The Earth was quiet, but something was off. The usual hum of satellites and spacecraft moving across the sky had fallen silent. In a small, dimly lit room deep within the Earth's command center, alarms began to ring. At first, it seemed like just another routine glitch in the system. But as the seconds ticked by, something strange caught the attention of Lieutenant Sarah Wells. She stared at the monitor in front of her, her eyes widening. "Sir, come take a look at this," she said, her voice shaking slightly. General Davis, a man used to handling crisis situations, walked over. His seasoned eyes narrowed as he looked at the screen. A strange pattern of signals was being picked up, one that didn't match anything Earth's systems had ever encountered before. It wasn't a random interference. This was purposeful. A message. "Where is it coming from?" General Davis asked. "It's hard to say. The signal is originating from deep space, beyond the outer rim of our galaxy," Sarah replied, typing rapidly at her console. Her fingers moved faster now, as if somehow, the faster she worked, the better chance they had of understanding what was going on. The room grew quiet. The rest of the team gathered around Sarah's desk, their faces lit by the pale blue glow of the screens. The silence stretched on as they watched the strange symbols flicker in and out on the screen, like an encrypted code from an unknown source. General Davis's voice broke through the tension. "Can you decode it?" Sarah shook her head. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. The structure of the signal, the pattern, it doesn't match any known language, not even alien communication we've studied. It's too advanced." The room fell into a heavy silence again. The weight of the situation settled on everyone's shoulders. An unknown signal, coming from a place far beyond Earth, was now reaching their planet. The question everyone in the room was thinking, but no one dared to speak aloud. Was this a sign of something peaceful or something dangerous? General Davis tapped his fingers on the desk, trying to think of his next move. He knew they needed to act fast, but the unknowns were overwhelming. What if this was a signal from a new unknown species, one with advanced technology? What if they were friendly? Or worse, what if they weren't? "We can't ignore this," he finally said, his voice firm. His orders were clear. Immediately alert the highest levels of command and get the best experts on it. Within moments, Sarah sent the signal's data to Earth's most advanced observatories and military satellites. The waiting game had begun. Across the world, different governments scrambled to respond. Scientists were pulled from their research. Military leaders gathered their forces. Everyone knew that this could change everything, but no one knew exactly how. In the United Nations, diplomats and leaders debated what the message might mean. Some argued it could be a plea for help from a distant civilization. Others feared it was the beginning of an invasion. A small group of experts began trying to translate the signal, working late into the night. But so far, they had no answers. The signal had a strange rhythm to it, something almost melodic, but beneath that, it was sharp, too sharp. There was something unnatural about it, something that sent chills down everyone's spine. No one could figure out its purpose. Meanwhile, in the command center, General Davis paced back and forth, running through different scenarios in his head. The unknown was always the scariest thing. Could humanity really be ready for what was coming? Even if the signal was a sign of peaceful intentions, the size and complexity of the transmission were too much to ignore. Then, just as the clock struck midnight, everything changed. The signal pattern shifted. It was subtle at first, just a small change, but it was enough to draw the attention of Sarah and the rest of the team. The frequency fluctuated, and for a moment, the screen went dark. Then, a new message appeared. It was clearer this time, but the language remained untranslatable. The message, though, was unmistakable. "Prepare yourselves. The fleet approaches." The room went deathly quiet. Sarah's hand froze over the keyboard, and her eyes scanned the screen in disbelief. General Davis looked over her shoulder, his face pale. "What?" What does it mean? Someone whispered. General Davis took a deep breath, trying to calm the panic building in his chest. It means we have little time. The unknown signal was no longer just a warning. It was a declaration that something or someone was coming. The Earth was on the brink of something monumental. The question now was, would humanity be ready for what was approaching? As the message flickered out, the team knew one thing for certain. Whatever was coming, it would change the fate of the world forever. Hostile presence confirmed. The eerie silence in the command center was broken only by the soft hum of the monitors, as every person in the room processed the chilling message they had just received. The fleet approaches. Those words echoed in everyone's mind, like a warning they couldn't escape. General Davis stood at the front of the room, his hand gripping the edge of the desk. His heart pounded, but he couldn't afford to show fear. The world was looking to him for leadership, and he needed to remain calm. He looked around at the faces of his team, each one reflecting the same mixture of dread and determination. "Lieutenant Wells," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos inside him, "I need you to analyze that signal again. See if there's any hidden meaning we missed." Sarah nodded, her fingers trembling slightly as she returned to her station. She replayed the transmission, scrutinizing every detail. This time, she noticed something, a slight fluctuation in the pattern of the signal. It was almost imperceptible, but it wasn't random. It was a message encoded in layers, with a tone of urgency beneath it. "General, I think I found something," Sarah said, her voice rising with a new sense of urgency. "This signal isn't just an announcement. It's a countdown." The room fell silent again as the words sunk in. A countdown. The enemy wasn't just coming. They were on a schedule. "How much time do we have?" General Davis asked, his face growing even more serious. Sarah's eyes flicked to the screen as the numbers began to appear. They were counting down faster than anyone could have predicted. "Less than 3 days," she said, her voice tight with disbelief. 3 days until they arrive." The weight of those words settled like a lead weight on everyone's shoulders. In 3 days, humanity's world would change forever. 3 days to prepare for a force no one had ever faced before. General Davis turned to his team. "We need to mobilize immediately. Alert all military branches. Get our satellites into position. We'll need every defense system online. I want the best minds working to decode that signal and figure out who or what we're dealing with." As the team scrambled into action, the atmosphere in the command center shifted from one of confusion to determination. The unknown was no longer just a puzzle. It was a threat that was closing in fast. Around the globe, the news spread like wildfire. Military bases were put on high alert, and nations began to unite under a common cause. People whispered in fear about the alien fleet, unsure of what to expect. In the streets, debates raged. Were the aliens coming to conquer, or were they offering peace? No one had answers, but everyone felt the weight of the unknown pressing closer. The next few hours were filled with frenzied activity. Military leaders and world governments met in emergency sessions, trying to plan for every possible outcome. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, trying to decode the alien transmission, searching for any clues that could give them an edge in the coming conflict. But every attempt to understand the message brought more questions than answers. Meanwhile, the countdown on Earth's command center screens ticked away relentlessly. By the following morning, it was clear that humanity had no choice but to prepare for the worst. Earth's leaders knew that if the aliens were coming to wage war, they would have to fight with everything they had. The world's military forces were united for the first time in history, ready to defend their home. But there was one thought that weighed heavily on every mind. Could humanity, with its limited resources, stand up to such an advanced, unknown threat? In space, far above Earth, Earth's satellites detected something new. The alien fleet wasn't just a signal anymore. It was real. Hundreds of ships, massive in size, appeared on the radar. The shapes were unlike anything human technology had ever created, sleek and ominous, with no identifiable markings or features. They were approaching Earth's orbit at a terrifying speed. The first wave of alien ships arrived at the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Their size and numbers were far beyond anything humanity had expected. As Earth's defense systems were activated, the alien fleet moved in, sending out a signal that was unmistakable this time. A demand. "We have come for your planet. Surrender or be destroyed." The voice was cold and harsh, echoing through the speakers as if coming from the very depths of space itself. It was alien in every sense of the word, and the words carried a weight of finality. Humanity had no choice but to respond. In the command center, General Davis's hand tightened around the edge of his desk once more. The alien fleet was here. The battle for Earth's future had begun. Humanity prepares. The world had never faced a threat like this. The alien fleet was real, its presence undeniable, and its demands were clear. Humanity's response had to be swift, coordinated, and powerful. General Davis stood at the front of the command center, watching the frantic activity unfold. "Are all defense systems operational?" he asked, his voice sharp. "Yes, sir," Sarah Wells replied, her eyes glued to the screens. "We've activated every satellite, every weapon system. The global defense network is on high alert." The global military forces had mobilized faster than anyone had expected. The world's greatest minds, scientists, and military commanders had come together, each working toward one common goal: survival. The streets of major cities were filled with soldiers and armored vehicles. The sound of sirens blared as civilians hurried to safety. General Davis knew that the next few hours were crucial. Earth had to show that it was ready to fight back, that it would not simply bow down to an alien force. This wasn't just a battle for Earth's physical survival, it was a fight for humanity's place in the universe. The alien fleet loomed above Earth, its massive ships circling the planet like vultures, waiting for the moment to strike. The question on everyone's mind was simple: could Earth's military forces, with their relatively primitive technology compared to the unknown invaders, stand a chance? On the ground, preparations were already underway. Military bases around the world were being fortified. Air defense systems were primed to strike any incoming threats. Fighters, bombers, and warships took to the skies, their engines roaring as they prepared for battle. In the United States, President Carter addressed the nation. "This is not just a test of our military might. This is a test of who we are as a species. We will stand together, as one, and we will fight. No one is alone in this. Humanity has survived countless threats, and we will survive this one as well." Across the world, leaders echoed similar messages of defiance and unity. People, whether soldiers or civilians, understood that this moment would define them. Fear was common, but it was overshadowed by determination. The human spirit had been tested before. Now it was time to prove its strength once again. Inside the command center, General Davis and his team continued to analyze the alien fleet's movements. Sarah Wells scanned every signal coming from the fleet, hoping for a breakthrough in understanding their capabilities. Despite the fear that clouded their minds, the team remained focused. "Their technology is advanced," Sarah said, her voice tense. "The ships, they're unlike anything we've ever seen. They don't even show up on our radar as we know it. It's like they're bending space around them. We're barely getting any data back. We need to outsmart them," General Davis said, clenching his jaw. "We don't know how their ships work, but we can't fight them with brute force alone. We need strategy, intelligence, find their weaknesses." As time ticked away, the hours passed in a blur of calculations, decisions, and military preparations. The entire world was holding its breath, waiting for the alien fleet to make its next move. Meanwhile, in a hidden underground bunker, a small team of scientists worked furiously to analyze the alien signal. They had managed to extract new data from the message sent by the invaders, hoping to unlock some kind of clue. "We've decoded something new," one of the scientists said, his voice filled with excitement. It's not just a threat, it's a warning. The aliens have faced other civilizations before, and they have always conquered them. But it seems like they respect one thing: strength. If we show them we won't back down, there might be a chance to negotiate. General Davis received the update with a sigh of relief. We can use this, he muttered. Strength. It's all we have now. Around the world, humanity had one final chance to show its might. In space, the alien fleet continued to orbit Earth, its ships casting a shadow over the planet. The countdown was growing shorter, and everyone knew that soon, the first wave of the invaders would strike. With only hours left, Earth's leaders held an emergency meeting to finalize their strategies. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would show no fear. They would fight with everything they had, not just to survive, but to send a message to the invaders. Earth was not a planet to be conquered. Earth was a planet that would stand and fight. General Davis walked to the front of the command center once again, staring at the giant holographic map of the Earth's defense grid. Prepare for impact, he said, his voice firm. We fight as one. We will show them what humanity is capable of. As the countdown continued, and Earth's military forces prepared for the inevitable, there was a sense of unity among the people. The fear was still there, but it was tempered by an undeniable spirit of defiance. The world was ready, and it was going to take everything the alien fleet had to break it. In space, the alien fleet watched. The final stage of the countdown had begun. The battle for Earth was about to begin. First contact. The moment had arrived. The alien fleet had positioned itself just outside Earth's orbit, its vast ships hanging in space like looming giants. Every defense system on the planet was ready, every soldier was in place, and humanity was holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable first strike. General Davis stood at the heart of Earth's command center, watching the array of screens and sensors as the alien ships moved slowly, almost deliberately, into position. Around him, military officers, engineers, and analysts were glued to their stations, working tirelessly. The atmosphere in the room was thick with tension. "This is it," Sarah Wells said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "We've detected a communication signal coming from their flagship. It's not just a message, it's an order." "Patch it through," General Davis commanded. The room fell silent as the alien transmission filled the air. The voice that came through was cold, mechanical, and distant. It was the kind of voice that made you feel like you were no longer speaking to another living being, but to something far beyond your understanding. The words, however, were clear. "We have arrived. Prepare your planet for surrender. You will comply, or you will be destroyed." The transmission ended with a sharp, echoing tone that seemed to vibrate through the very walls of the command center. For a moment, no one spoke. The words hung in the air, and the weight of them was almost suffocating. The alien fleet wasn't just here to scout or negotiate. They were here to conquer, and they wanted Earth to surrender. General Davis stood still, his mind racing. He had prepared for an attack, but not for this kind of audacity. The aliens weren't even trying to hide their intentions. It was a direct challenge. Humanity wasn't going to back down. They couldn't. "We don't have time for talks," Davis said, his voice low and decisive. "They've shown their hand. Prepare the defenses. We fight now." The room sprang into action. Every officer, soldier, and technician shifted into motion, finalizing their strategies. Every defense system on Earth, from the most advanced satellites to the fighter jets ready for battle, were put into position. Meanwhile, the alien ships in space began to activate. At first, there was nothing visible, just a slight flicker in the ship's vast hulls. Then, without warning, energy weapons on the alien ships flared to life. Brilliant beams of light shot out, illuminating the dark space between Earth and the fleet. "We're getting a power surge," one of the analysts shouted. "They're preparing to fire." Within seconds, the first energy beams from the alien ships shot toward Earth, leaving glowing trails in their wake. It was a breathtaking sight, and a terrifying one. The beams were strong enough to tear through anything in their path. Earth's defenses activated almost instantly. The first line of Earth's planetary shields flared to life, sending a massive pulse of energy into the path of the incoming beams. The shields held for a moment, but the alien firepower was overwhelming. The shields buckled under the pressure, and the first wave of the beams collided with Earth's atmosphere, creating explosions in the sky. Humanity's military responded with equal force. Fighter jets and bombers swarmed into the air, their weapons aimed directly at the alien fleet. The sky erupted with flashes of gunfire, missiles, and energy blasts. The battle had begun, and Earth was fighting for its survival. On the ground, the chaos of war spread. Cities were put on lockdown, and civilians scrambled to safety. In major urban centers, military personnel coordinated evacuation efforts, while others fought to keep the enemy at bay. The world had become a battlefield, every corner of the globe now in the crosshairs of a terrifying alien force. But despite the overwhelming power of the invaders, there was something undeniable. Humanity was not going down without a fight. It wasn't just the military fighting, it was everyone. Soldiers, civilians, scientists, and engineers, everyone had a part to play. They were fighting for their homes, their families, their future. As the alien fleet unleashed another round of devastating fire, General Davis watched the battle unfold. Earth's defenses were taking heavy losses, but humanity's determination was unyielding. The fight was far from over. "Hold the line," Davis said, his voice filled with grit. "We've come this far. We're not backing down." In space, the alien ships seemed unfazed by the human resistance. But as the battle raged on, something began to shift. The alien ships had underestimated humanity's will to fight. Their firepower was immense, but so was Earth's defiance. For the first time since the aliens had arrived, the invaders began to experience something they had not expected: resilience. Humanity was standing its ground, and despite the odds, they were forcing the aliens to fight harder than they had anticipated. Back on Earth, in the midst of chaos, people began to realize something. This wasn't just a battle of weapons. This was a battle of survival, a battle for the future of their species. And in that moment, every soldier, every civilian, every leader knew that they were fighting for something much larger than themselves. They were fighting for humanity's place in the universe. The first contact had been made, and the war for Earth's survival had begun. The battle begins. The sky above Earth was a fiery battlefield. The first wave of alien attacks had left their mark on Earth's defenses, but humanity's response was not one of panic. Instead, it was a fierce and coordinated counterattack. The fight for Earth's survival had begun, and every human being, whether soldier or civilian, knew the stakes. General Davis stood in the heart of Earth's command center, his face illuminated by the glow of the monitors. The sound of sirens and explosions echoed from the distant battlefields. The alien fleet had unleashed a storm of firepower upon Earth, but humanity's military was holding its own. "For now." "Status report," Davis commanded, his voice cold but steady. "We've lost 2 satellites, sir," Sarah Wells reported. "The alien ships have energy shields that are nearly impenetrable. We're managing to hit them with some of our strongest weapons, but their technology is far beyond ours." Davis clenched his fists. The odds seemed stacked against them, but there was no turning back now. Earth had to survive. Humanity had to survive. The battle raged on, and it wasn't just confined to the skies. Across the world, military forces engaged in intense ground battles, using every available weapon and resource to fight back the alien invaders. Cities that had once been peaceful were now war zones. Tanks rumbled down streets, and explosions lit up the night sky. In space, the alien fleet unleashed its full force. The beams of energy from their ships tore through Earth's atmosphere, sending shockwaves across the planet. Buildings crumbled, entire cities were destroyed, and the Earth itself seemed to tremble under the force of the invasion. But humanity's response was swift. Fighter jets, once just tools of defense, were now Earth's last line of offense. Squadrons of jets, equipped with advanced missiles, soared into the sky, launching a barrage of attacks at the alien ships. The air was filled with the sound of missile launches, the roar of engines, and the crackle of energy beams. In one of the military bases, Lieutenant Sarah Wells stood by her station, watching as the battle unfolded before her eyes. She saw one of the alien ships coming into range. With a sharp breath, she pushed the button to fire. A stream of bright red missiles shot into the sky, leaving trails of smoke behind them. The alien ship took the hit directly, and for a moment, Sarah thought they had done it. They had struck the invaders, but the ship's shield absorbed the impact, and the damage was minimal. The alien ship retaliated almost immediately, firing a burst of energy that knocked out several of Earth's fighter jets. The remaining jets scattered, trying to avoid the oncoming barrage. "They're strong, but we can't give up," Sarah muttered to herself. Back on Earth, the ground forces were in the midst of their own fierce struggle. Military personnel fought valiantly, holding off the alien invaders in an effort to buy more time for humanity to regroup. Armed with everything from simple rifles to heavy artillery, soldiers fought without hesitation. But even with everything Earth had thrown at them, the alien fleet's overwhelming power was a constant reminder of their superiority. Alien ships hovered above cities, sending down powerful energy blasts that obliterated everything in their path. The survivors could only run and hide, their hope fading with each passing minute. Despite the overwhelming odds, there was a spark of hope. As the battle continued, reports began to trickle in from various parts of the world. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was fighting back. From the ruins of devastated cities, pockets of resistance began to form. Small groups of soldiers, civilians, and engineers had managed to regroup, creating a formidable force that refused to bow down to the invaders. In a military bunker in Europe, a group of scientists had managed to unlock a crucial piece of alien technology. They had discovered a weak point in the alien ship's energy shields, one that Earth's weapons might be able to exploit. The scientists worked frantically, sending this information to the military leaders across the world. With this new knowledge, Earth's forces could finally strike at the heart of the alien fleet. "General," Sarah Wells said, her voice filled with urgency, "we found a weakness in their shields. We can breach their defenses if we hit them with the right energy pulse." "Do we have the resources to do that?" Davis asked, his face tense. "We do, but it's risky. We'll need to concentrate our firepower into one massive strike." "Then make it happen," Davis commanded. "We're not going to survive by playing it safe." All over Earth, military forces began to rally, organizing their most powerful weapons into a coordinated attack. Fighter jets, warships, and missile launchers were all synchronized, their energy concentrated into a single strike that would target the alien fleet's weak point. The countdown to launch was agonizing. Every second felt like a lifetime, and every soldier and commander knew that the fate of Earth rested on what would happen next. Finally, the moment arrived. A massive pulse of energy shot into the sky from the world's most powerful weapon systems. The beam collided with the alien fleet's shields, creating an explosion that rocked the very fabric of space. For a split second, there was nothing. Just silence, broken only by the crackling of static in the communication lines. Then the first alien ship exploded in a burst of brilliant light. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, humanity had struck a decisive blow. The aliens, stunned by the unexpected resistance, began to retreat momentarily. But General Davis knew this victory wouldn't last. It was just the beginning. "Keep fighting," Davis said into the comms. "This is our chance. We're not giving up." And as the alien fleet regrouped, humanity stood its ground. The battle for Earth was far from over, but now there was hope. Humanity had shown its strength, and the invaders would learn quickly that Earth was not so easily conquered. Turning the tide. The initial victory had given humanity a glimpse of hope, but the battle was far from over. General Davis stood in the command center, his eyes fixed on the holographic map of Earth and the surrounding space. The alien fleet had retreated, but only for a moment. They were regrouping, repairing their ships, and preparing for the next wave of attacks. It was clear that this conflict would be decided not by a single blow, but by the resolve and strategy of both sides. "General, they're coming back," Sarah Wells reported, her voice laced with concern. "The alien fleet is recovering faster than we anticipated. They've begun to adjust their tactics." Davis clenched his fists. He knew the retreat wouldn't last long. The aliens were powerful, but humanity had proven one thing: it would not be intimidated. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, Earth's forces had shown resilience. The question was whether that resilience could be sustained. "We need to act fast," Davis said, his voice hardening. "We've managed to land a blow, but the next wave will be stronger. We need to find something they don't expect." It was then that the breakthrough came. A message was intercepted from the alien fleet, not a direct transmission, but an encrypted signal that seemed to be moving between the ships. It was their battle coordination, and it revealed something crucial: a weakness in the alien fleet's communication network. Sarah's fingers flew across her console as she worked to decipher the signal. "We've got it," she said, excitement creeping into her voice. "The aliens are relying on a central command ship to coordinate the entire fleet. If we can disrupt their communications, we can throw them into disarray." "Can we target their command ship?" General Davis asked, his brow furrowed in concentration. "We can," Sarah confirmed, "but we'll need to coordinate with every remaining fighter and warship. It's going to be a risky maneuver." The plan was simple, but incredibly dangerous. Earth's military forces would have to launch a full-scale assault on the alien fleet with one key objective: to locate and destroy the central command ship. If they could sever the fleet's coordination, the aliens would be forced to fight blindly, without the tactical advantage they had so far relied on. General Davis nodded, his expression resolute. "We have no choice. This is our best shot." Across the world, humanity's remaining military forces prepared for the next phase of the battle. The urgency was palpable. Every moment counted. Fighters scrambled into the sky. Warships moved into position, and the ground forces held their positions, awaiting orders. The entire planet was a machine in motion, working together toward a single goal. The aliens, meanwhile, had already begun their offensive. The first wave of their fleet surged toward Earth once again, their energy weapons charging. But this time, there was something different in the air. Humanity had learned from the first battle. They weren't just reacting to the alien assault, they were planning their own strike. "Launch the assault," Davis ordered. With the command given, Earth's forces moved into action. The sky erupted with energy blasts, missiles, and the roar of fighter jets as they zoomed toward the alien fleet. The battle was fierce, and Earth's forces were pushed to the brink. For every alien ship destroyed, another seemed to take its place. The alien fleet had the upper hand in firepower, but humanity's determination kept them in the fight. Then, in the midst of the chaos, the critical moment arrived. One of Earth's warships, guided by the intelligence provided by Sarah's team, broke through the alien defenses and locked onto the coordinates of the alien command ship. The target was in sight. "Now's our chance," Sarah said, her voice sharp. "We can strike." The warship's weapons powered up, and with a burst of fire, a missile shot toward the alien command ship. For a moment, everything seemed to slow down. The missile soared through space, heading straight for its target. And then, impact. The alien command ship erupted in a brilliant explosion. The shockwave rocked the entire fleet, and for a brief moment, the alien ships seemed to falter, their coordination thrown into chaos. "We did it," Sarah shouted. "Their command ship is down." But the victory was short-lived. The alien ships, though disorganized, were still formidable. They began to retaliate with even more fury, firing their weapons in a frantic attempt to regain control. The battle grew more intense, the explosions in space lighting up the heavens. Yet, without their command ship to coordinate them, the aliens were losing their edge. Earth's forces, despite suffering heavy casualties, began to push back. The loss of the command ship had left the invaders vulnerable, and humanity seized the opportunity. Fighter jets, warships, and even ground forces launched simultaneous attacks on the remaining alien ships, targeting their power cores and energy systems. Slowly but surely, Earth's forces began to gain the upper hand. The alien ships, once so sure of their superiority, were now retreating, broken and scattered. Earth's soldiers, battered but unbowed, pressed on, their attacks relentless. As the last of the alien ships were destroyed or driven from Earth's orbit, General Davis stood silent, watching the final moments of the battle unfold on his screen. The victory had come at a heavy cost. The world had been torn apart by the conflict. Cities were in ruins, and many lives had been lost. But humanity had done the impossible. Against all odds, Earth had defended itself. The battle for Earth was over, but the war, humanity's place in the universe, was just beginning. Victory and defiance. The battle had raged for days, and now, the skies over Earth were quiet. The once threatening alien fleet, reduced to scattered wreckage, was retreating into the depths of space. The few remaining ships limped away, their formidable strength broken by humanity's unexpected resolve. General Davis stood on the balcony of Earth's command center, looking out over the now calm battlefield. The fires of war still smoldered across the planet's surface, but the immediate danger had passed. Humanity had fought back. Against all odds, Earth had survived. But survival had come at a heavy price. Across the globe, entire cities had been wiped out, military bases had been destroyed, and millions had lost their lives. Earth was battered and scarred, but it had endured. And through that endurance, humanity had learned something. It was stronger than anyone had ever given it credit for. As General Davis stood there, Sarah Wells joined him. She had seen the worst of the war, but her eyes were filled with something else now. Hope. Hope for the future. "We did it," she said quietly, her voice filled with exhaustion but also relief. "They're gone. For now, at least." Davis nodded, but his expression remained serious. "For now, we've won this battle, but we can't forget what we've learned. The universe is bigger than we thought. The threat could come again." Sarah glanced out at the stars, her thoughts echoing his. "It will. But we'll be ready. We showed them that we're not just some weak species to be conquered. Earth might be small, but we've got the will to fight. And that's something they didn't expect. We've proven that we're a force to be reckoned with." Davis agreed, his voice firm with conviction. "The aliens thought they could come here and take our planet, take our future. But they underestimated humanity." As the final reports came in, it was clear that the war had ended, but the scars of the battle would take time to heal. Governments began rebuilding their nations, but the global landscape had irrevocably changed. Military alliances were forged stronger than ever, and nations united in a common cause. The world had witnessed the power of collective human strength, and no one would ever look at humanity the same way again. The message was clear. Earth was not a place to be conquered. It was a place of resilience, of defiance, and of a will that could not be broken. The alien invaders had retreated, but not without facing the full might of a united Earth. The victory was celebrated across the globe, but it was tempered with the realization that the universe was vast and full of unknowns. Earth had narrowly escaped one crisis, but there were undoubtedly other dangers lurking out there. Other species who might see humanity as a threat or worse, as prey. In a quiet moment in the command center, General Davis addressed the world. "We have shown them that we will not yield," he said, "but we must also prepare. This victory is just the beginning. We will rebuild, we will grow, and we will continue to stand as one. No matter who or what threatens our planet, humanity will rise to meet it. As the years passed, Earth slowly healed. The scars of war remained, but they were a testament to the strength and courage of the human spirit. New technologies developed in the wake of the conflict helped rebuild cities, cure diseases, and expand humanity's reach beyond its home planet. The war had left its mark, but humanity had also learned invaluable lessons. And as the days turned to months and months into years, Earth began to prepare for its place in the greater universe. The invasion had been a wake-up call, a reminder that the galaxy was not a safe place, and humanity was just one species among many. But no longer would they be seen as weak or insignificant. They had sent a clear message. Earth was not to be underestimated. Humanity was no longer just a tiny planet, hidden in the far corner of a vast galaxy. They were a species with a will to fight, a will to survive, and a defiance that would carry them to the stars. As the final remnants of the alien fleet drifted into the vast expanse of space, one thing was certain. Earth had survived, and humanity had emerged stronger, more united, and ready for whatever lay ahead in the great unknown.